All right, hello parents and welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about adding mixed numbers. So we actually are covering this tomorrow. So this is somewhat of a preview for tomorrow's lesson. Today the students did work learning what mixed numbers were, as well as in the past they have been taught the term irregular fractions. However, that terminology does make them sometimes think that it's not a regular or a real fraction. So instead, we're just going to call them fractions. An example we were talking about was 5/4. 5/4 is a fraction. Again, the terminology will not be using a regular a ton because again, 5/4 is a fraction. The biggest thing we're going to be using is that is also equal to 1 and 1/4. And how can we add these numbers? So the very first thing is, and we'll use 1 and 1/4 as one of the add-ins. The second one will be, let's do plus 2 and 2/4. All right. Step one is always going to be add the whole numbers. Add the whole numbers because we don't have to do anything to them. So 1 plus 2, that's going to give us 3. Now, we're going to look for common denominators. The denominators are the same, so we can go straight across. If it helps visually the student to break it apart, that's fine. They can put 1/4 plus 2/4 and 2 plus 1. That's also perfectly acceptable. They know to go straight across. 1 plus 2/4 is 3/4. And then we have the 3. And we put these back together. That is 3 and 3/4. All right, that's one way. Another way that they can think about this is we have wholes here. So we are taking wholes, adding them together, and then we are taking the fractions and adding them together. Adding mixed numbers. So let's look at one where it doesn't line up quite as perfectly. Let's do 4 and 3/4 plus 5 and 2/4. So again, to make it a little bit easier, we can break this apart, or we can go straight across. But again, we're going to start with our whole numbers. 4 plus 5 is going to equal 9. We can break that down as well if we'd like to keep it organized differently. And then our fractions, we're going to line them up 3/4 plus 2/4, and that's going to give us a fraction of 5/4. Now, the reorganizing is something that we will be working on in class. One thing that they want to look at is, this 5, or the numerator, is bigger than the denominator now. To work on this, we're going to recognize that we have, if we were to draw a picture, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/4. Therefore, we have an additional 1 whole and then 1/4 left over. So this we can actually write as another mixed number. 5/4 is equal to 1 and 1/4. We can now add this to the 9. So we could do 9 plus 1 and 1/4. If we split it apart, 9 plus 1 gives us 10. And then we have no fraction over here, so 0 plus 1/4 equals 1/4. We regroup them or add them together, and that will give us 10 and 1/4 all together. So 4 and 3/4 plus 5 and 2/4, this 9 once again needs to be added to something else, and we get that 10 and 1/4. Again, this is a preview. We will be actually covering this tomorrow in class. And if there are any questions after tomorrow, please let me know as always, and we will get those answered. Thank you and have a great evening.